Welcome back to another episode of the Fix Sports Podcast, which is the realest, blackest, and funniest sports podcast you have ever heard in your entire life. I'm coming straight from the side, going down. Audio Shop Talk right in your ear hole, brought to you by yours truly, Joseph Ward, right here on the Freedom Train Network at www.freedomtrainradio.com, where we go down, stay down, to be down, the illest podcast you have ever heard, and the greatest sports podcast in your life. And if you don't like it, that's because you a hater. Your mama ain't raised you right. And guess what? I'm still that dude that when you wake up in the morning and you go for your snacks, the dude that be butt naked in there like Melvin was and Baby Boy, and you like, man, why this butt naked dude in there? Because I'm on your mama. I'm on your mama. So, hey, man, welcome back. Welcome back. To everybody who new to the Fix Sports Podcast, hey, this is how I go down. For everybody who already been here before, you already know what it is, man. Give it to you, sports the way we give it to you. Now, I've been telling y'all for weeks about what's going to happen today. So I just need you to close your eyes, relax, and take it. It's not gonna hurt if you just take it. Just close your eyes and relax. It's really going down. Look at Hey man, before I get into it, remember that the Fix Sports Podcast is brought to you by On the Shoulders of Giants, and On the Shoulders of Giants brings you African history at your fingertips, on the go. Our stories from our perspective at your fingertips through African history book series, the African history blog, the African history curriculum, which is African history online course, which is available for pre-sale at the website www.ontheshoulders1.com. The nonprofit organization, the app is available on the website as well, www.ontheshoulders1.com, as well as the nonprofit organization face-to-face classes, or more like virtual classes, but I'm thinking post-COVID, but virtual classes, anything you need education-wise when it comes to African history. You don't have to do none of the work. They already did all the work for you. Make sure you visit the website at www.ontheshoulders1.com. All right. So I've been telling y'all, I've been prepping y'all for this. I got my homies up in here, and I'm gonna introduce everybody, but I got my homies up in here because we're about to break down the greatest college football teams of the past 40 years, from the 1980s to the 2020. It's really about to go down. So we decided we're gonna go through these decades and pick these teams and see who we rolling with and how we rolling. We got 16 teams. We got our stuff in and wanted to bring it to y'all. Like I said, I want to give y'all something different. So I'm gonna introduce everybody, starting with the first square and go on around to my upper left, probably to y'all upper right, whatever y'all see it. I got my homeboy Sam, Dixie, aka Raw Dog, Willie, whatever you want to call him. Now my homeboy Sam, we've been down since '89, since Pineview Elementary School. We played ball together. One of my good friends. We bringing him on here. He gonna help us talk about these greatest college football teams of all time. All right. So second, you've seen this gentleman on the Jamie Foxx show. You've seen him on the Johnson Family Reunion trying to steal Vanessa Williams. And he was in something else I can't remember, playing the gangster. Man. But give it up for my dog Javard Grant coming in here.
It's stupid.
And then last but not least, y'all familiar with the voice, y'all familiar with the face, coming back to you straight from Dallas, Texas, by way of Tallahassee, Florida. He got his FSU shirt on because he think they're gonna be good one day again. He's Jimbo Fisher's nephew. Bring back my dog Doc Love.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah. He knew Candy was getting hit by Taylor Jacobson. Ain't tell that man nothing. He knew it.
Ain't tell that man. What you talking about, boy.
He knew it.
Something, bro.
No idea.
Ain't your business, Doc. Huh?
Nah, ain't my business, bro. That ain't my business.
Hey, man. So we got 16 teams. Like I said, from 1980 to 2020, we got 16 teams that we're going to be breaking down. Today is the first of the first round. So we have 4 teams that we're going to be breaking down today. I'm going to let y'all know what they are in a minute. Of course, I do want to have a bit of discussion before we get into it. So like we already talked about in our prep, because I usually do my HBCU spotlight, my weekly rant. So I do want to kind of keep some of those elements in here, but also make sure that we keep an eye on what's going on in HBCU sports. And right now, the rave is prime time Deion Sanders, who's the new coach of Jackson State University. So in my opinion, this is big because it's Deion for one, a huge personality. And Deion is unlike any other HBCU coach right now, or probably any other HBCU coach in history. Deion's NFL ties, everybody knows his NFL ties. Like, it's no secret that if you playing with Deion, you anywhere in the sphere, in the realm of Deion, you got access to NFL. So to me, that's a great selling point, and a great pitch for Deion to be able to get top tier talent to Jackson State. But we all know at the end of the day, though, Deion still got to win. Mm-hmm. So I've in the past shows I've talked about my opinions about Deion Sanders going to Jackson State, but I do kind of want to get you guys' opinion on what's happening right now at Jackson State and what you see happening in the future with Black college football, depending on the success and or failure of Deion. So I guess we'll start with you, Sam. They ain't never heard from you before, man. How you feel about this Deion Sanders thing at Jackson State?
So I'm excited about it, man. I mean, like you said, all the things you said. He a known name, so kids gonna want to go to him. So I'm just excited to see how he does, because I hope that if he just can get it rolling, get those talented kids in, upgrade the facilities and everything, because I think that's the main thing. Because I mean, like, a lot of people talk about all these kids should just go to HBCUs, but I mean, I can understand why they don't, because if you're a surgeon. If you want to be a surgeon, you're going to go to a top school that's for surgeons. So If you want to be a pro football player, you're going to go to a school that produce pro football players. So it makes sense. But if you can turn one of the HBCUs into that, then that'll just, who knows where it could go from there. So I'm pulling for him, man.
Right. And I do want to say this. Their facilities are better than FAMU's. Everybody's facilities are better than FAMU's. Ricketts High School.
Not everybody.
Who's on that?
Winston-Salem isn't.
Winston, you're right. I've been forgetting about those schools. Well, representing Winston-Salem State, Javard.
Oh man. I'm excited about Deion too. I think one of the most important things is going to be this first season, and he has the ability to really kind of take advantage of the COVID environment that we're in, because you got a lot of players who are going to be entering into the transfer portal. Yeah. And so there are going to be a lot of players who are really focused on getting to the next level, not necessarily trying to, have a college career or, get their diplomas and all that stuff. And so, these networks are going to need to recoup some of that income next year. So if you can get some of these players with some type of notoriety to come to that game, come to that school, you're going to have ESPN and other networks wanting to put them on TV. And so with being on TV, you're going to have some success on the field.
Right.
And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right. What about you, Ward Dunn?
Man, to be perfectly honest, I think the optics alone is major, man. You start to get the influence of somebody like a Deion. We're talking about one of the big, when you talk football, I don't care in what capacity, the name Deion Sanders is always going to be synonymous with greatness in football. You know what I mean? So, but the optics alone, to see to have the influence on those kids, when you talk about that going to that's coming out of high school, and now their thought process is, hey man, HBC. They might not have even thought about going to HBCU. You know what I'm saying? Now you talk about, like I said, there aren't many more bigger names than Deion Sanders when you talk about football. You know what I mean? And so the kids now, they can say, man, you know what? Maybe this might be the route I need to go. Like you said, there's a direct pipeline from Deion to the NFL. You know what I mean? So, you think about the connections that he has and the connections with his coaching staff going to have, man. man, it's like a no-brainer for a lot of them guys now. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, they might not have thought about it in the past, but now, I mean, I don't think you'd be smart not to think about that. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
it's huge. That's huge, man.
Man, there's an article on the HBCU Game Day site. It's a great website, by the way, for your HBCU sports. But the the linebacker that transferred from USC to Jackson State, I can't think of his name right now, but that he is Abdul something, and then it come back to a regular Black American name. But his mom was in the article in the HBCU Game Day website. I rock with her because she was basically saying, "Hey, parents, let's get on the train of directing our Black kids to HBCUs because that's what it's going to take to get the HBCU, the improvement that we need to raise the profile, to get more money, to get better players. Parents, let's get on board with this because it's not like it's going to be a trash move across the board, but let's get on board with it." So to me, like seeing her do that, having her voice her opinion, along with we at Jackson State too, because it's no offense to what Willie Simmons got going on here at FAMU, because he's doing an awesome job, but he does have a pipeline to the league. But you're not Deion Sanders,
right?
You're not the dude who showed up and ran the 4-1, the 4-2, and the 40. He just stretched. You didn't play in the World Series and the Super Bowl, and so that's a huge difference when you have Deion there. Because this Deion. So I think with that we'll have a lot of, well, especially if Deion is successful. If Deion's successful, we're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a new movement going to HBCU.
That's gonna be key.
Abdul Malik McClain.
There you go. We
want to give him his flowers. Give him his flowers.
Abdul
Back to
Malik
American
McClain.
name.
And if something like this is going to happen where there's some type of movement, you got to start somewhere.
Right.
And there are very few, like Doc was saying earlier, there are very few names bigger than Deion Sanders, Black names, who would grab everybody's attention and want to put eyeballs on a HBCU, both from an entertainment perspective as far as being broadcasted and from a recruiting perspective as far as prospective players choosing the HBCU route versus D1 college football teams.
Right. Right. Nah, I'm with you. All right, just want to get y'all perspective on that. And so, all right, so we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna go ahead and jump to these brackets, then we're gonna come back and talk about our little weekly rant thingy. So we can go ahead and get into it. So me and the homies, we got together and we decided on 16 teams that we are going to use to represent college football in our brackets. And these teams we're going to go through and based off the criteria that we've set to see what's the greatest college football of the last 40 years. I know who I think it is, and that's one of the greatest things because we're all coming in with ideas and biases on who we think is the greatest college football team. Y'all been listening to me. Y'all know I think the 01 Miami is the greatest college football team of all time. Some people think 13 FSU. Some people think 99 FSU. Some people think 93 FSU. Some people think 97 Michigan. No, I'm just playing.
That's what I say. Don't nobody say that.
They ain't in here.
99 FAMU. So we're gonna give you our seeds. I'm gonna tell you the seeds, and I'm gonna tell you our criteria, and I'm gonna tell you who's going up against who. So the number I start from number 16 to number 1. So number 16 seed is the 2014 Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 15 seed is the 2008 Oklahoma Sooners. The 14 seed is the 2012 Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 13 seed is the 2008 Florida Gators. The 12th seed is the 1996 Florida Gators. I don't know how that happened. It just happened. The 11th seed is 97 Michigan. 10th seed is 99 Florida State. 9th seed is 87 Miami. The 8th seed is the 04 USC team. The 7th seed is the 2009 Alabama team. The 6th seed is the 2018 Clemson Tigers. The 5th seed is the number 13 FSU. 4th seed is the 2001 Miami. The 3rd seed is the 2005 Texas. The 2nd seed is the 1995 Nebraska. And our number 1 seed is the 2019 LSU. So the criteria that we use to determine how we're going to rank the teams is number of losses, margin of victory, and strength of schedule. And so for all these 3 categories, number of losses, margin of victory, and strength of schedule, that's how we got our 1 through 16 seeds. So the first round, we have 2019 LSU versus 2014 Ohio State. We also have 1995 Nebraska against 08 Oklahoma, 05 Texas against 2012 Alabama, 2001 Miami against 08 Florida, 2013 FSU versus 1996 Florida, 2018 Clemson versus 1997 Michigan, 09 Bama versus 99 FSU, 2004 USC versus 1987 Miami. All right, so we're starting off with four teams, 2 rounds, 2 matchups. 2019 LSU versus 2014 Ohio State, and then 1995 Nebraska versus 2008 Oklahoma State. And so let's kick this off. Started with the 2019 LSU versus 2014 Ohio State. So before we get into the numbers, just off of optics, things you've seen, what you know about the teams, memories and things, if I just throw it out and say 2019 LSU going up against 2014 Ohio State, who win that game and why? Let's start there before we even get into the numbers.
19 LSU.
19
It ain't even close. It's not close. Like when you look at it, either it's not close either, whether you stack it up on paper or if you just think about
the optics.
The optics of it.
Yeah.
Because 14 Ohio State, they wasn't on anybody. If you remember that season, they wasn't on anybody's radar throughout the whole year. They just kind of came in at the back door at the last minute. And granted, now they played well. That run they had of the Big Ten, the versus Michigan in the Big Ten championship and in the playoffs, but the season leading up to it, they just weren't that impressive. Like they had that I think it was they lost to Virginia Tech that year at the beginning of the year, something like that, and Virginia Tech was like 500 or something. And LSU was just right, and LSU was just crushing everybody. So it's just not close to me.
No, yeah. I'm with you, Sam, bro. Like that LSU team was just too explosive, bro. Like, I mean, they was throwing the ball all over the place, bro. We talking about. I mean, I just go back and watching that championship game. I was like, man, nobody can. They were just destined to win it, bro. Like, so them against 14, they probably put up 60 points on them boys. Like, I don't even see that being a close game. Just being perfectly honest. I don't even see that being close.
No, they had Zeke Elliott, dog. They had Zeke.
I don't care who they, bro. Listen, that 19 team was different, bro. Team was different, bro. And it's crazy. I don't think I started really paying attention to them until like the middle of the season. Like, man, LSU killing. Like, but then I watched it for the rest of the season. I'm like, no, this different. This different. That team was special, bro.
But when we get into the numbers, I'm gonna tell you one of the things that stood out about the numbers for me for the 2019 LSU team. That's why I think they're special. But go ahead, Grant. I ain't mean to jump in front of you.
Man, when you just look at it from the optics standpoint, you had a quarterback throw 60 plus touchdowns. You had 2 wide receivers that were finalists for the Bolitnikov, and you had a first round running back.
Yeah,
they were overwhelming people, and there was nothing that teams could do about it.
They had a squad, but now, all right, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate for 2014 Ohio State. They had talent across the board. Now they definitely had talent across the board. So if we just stacking talent versus talent from each team. Which team got the best talent?
I think talented is probably a little bit closer because I mean I haven't looked at it, but I want to say that 14 Ohio State team, they had a lot of dudes drafted. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean I know Bosa was on it. I want to say like Zeke was on it, Michael Thomas.
They did.
I'm sure some guys on the offensive line, so they had talent. But for whatever reason, they just didn't put it together like 19 LSU did. So I mean, but like man for man, they had some good players. It's man for man, I think they can match up to them. But I don't know if it was just something magical about that 19 LSU team, man.
Bro, they had Eli Apple.
The synergy was different,
I didn't
bro.
mention him. I forgot about him. He was,
I know you did.
The synergy was different, bro. They just had a bunch of players. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It was just players. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a team full of players, but like, how does it look? You know what I'm saying? That's just like the super team with the Eagles. They had all the players, but it didn't look like nothing. You know what I mean? You can put a bunch of players on the team, but you know what does it look like? That LSU team looked like. And like, I mean, when you talk about a well-oiled machine, that was different.
Yeah.
If you put Cardale Jones, Braxton Miller, and JT Barrett together, you would have got the production of Joe Burrow. And what makes it even crazier is that Joe Burrow was in that quarterback room with all the boys at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Man, like that 14 team, man. It was a damn good team, I have to admit. But that 19 LSU team, to me, when I think about offense and defense, because I love the attitude the defense had. It's like they recognize we a top tier SEC team. And we need to play like it. Like they played like they had that swagger, that attitude. So imagine taking like that 96 Florida offense and then like that 08 Florida defense. Just like I'm just thinking about great offenses and great defenses. Because I felt like that 19 LSU team really exemplified a whole team having a great offense and a great defense. Because even though separate units, both units had the attitude of we finna come out here and smash you. Because you know, a lot of times these teams, like the offense would be great, defense is mediocre, defense is great, offense is middle of the pack, whatever. But they like, nah, fuck this. We finna come bust you in your mouth. They looked at Alabama. LSU looked at Alabama and said, oh, y'all spread it out and throwing the ball. Watch this. This. And just came out in 1 year and just, hey, here it is in your mouth. And you ain't gonna do nothing about it. That shit was amazing, dog.
It was.
And then not because like, but the drop off though, like the amount of players they had, the drop off from last year to this year is amazing. It's not even the same team. I haven't even tried to watch one of LSU's games this year. And it's just like, but the talent last year,
that's crazy.
It was, I don't know, man. I couldn't explain. I was tuned in. Like, I'm literally glued into this team. Like you said, 2014 Ohio State had talent. Like, I forgot they had Michael Thomas. I ain't gonna lie, I forgot they had Michael Thomas. And then looking at their roster, I was like, shit. Because even going through the numbers, putting everything together, I'm like, damn, like these boys had some shit. But that 19 LSU, man, y'all, they number one seed for a reason.
Different.
Bruh. So check this out. All right, so looking at these numbers, right? So like I said, the numbers that we're using to have to get the teams to move from round to round, we're using margin of victory, number of All-Americans, total defensive rankings, number of players drafted, and total offensive rankings, right? So as far as margin of victory, let's start there. So with LSU had a margin of victory of 38.7, and Ohio State had a margin of victory of 22.8. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little disappointed in Ohio State's margin of victory. I was expecting it to be higher.
Well, they lost the game. That's gonna bring you down.
I get that.
That's a negative in that stat.
I get that.
But like I said, man, they just weren't. Like I said, if you remember, I think that 14 Ohio State team, people remember the last 3 or 4 games. I think the title game against Wisconsin, the semifinal against Alabama, and then the championship against Oregon. But the rest of their season, I mean, it just wasn't. They weren't memorable. I mean, they just were kind of cruising along. That year, everybody was talking about. It was two things everybody was talking about. Well, the first thing was Florida State had their streak going on. That was the thing. And then it was the season Marcus Mariota was having.
Yeah.
Those two things. So it was
Winston Mariota.
Everybody was talking about Alabama, Florida State, Oregon that year. Ohio State was just kind of hovering along.
Yeah.
They were just kind of hovering along. So I mean, like, it's easy to I can see why, thinking about Ohio State, you would look for a higher number, but just the way their season went that year, they just were, they were just kind of, it was just kind of hold on.
Yeah, because to your point about the margin of victory, I think their team just got better as the year went along. I mean, they lost by double digits to Virginia Tech. That hurt their cause. They had a double overtime win against an unranked Penn State. They had a 1 touchdown win against Minnesota, and that was later in the year in November. It wasn't until after they got to the end of the year against Michigan where they really started to take off. And then they did that real hot run, like they were going through a NCAA basketball tournament, and that's what people remember, as if they were, like a 9 seed going all the way to the Final Four, and you're a 9 seed. You end up being a good team at the end of the year, but you were a 9 seed for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's where Ohio State really came out in 2014.
Well, also I'm guessing, because I'm looking at it, after they lost to Virginia Tech, because they gave up 35 points to Virginia Tech, they came back with 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row, and 4 of the last 6 games they scored at least 50 points. So they had 66-0 against Kent State, 50-28 against Cincinnati, 52-24 against Maryland, 56-17 against Rutgers, and then when they played Illinois, they put up 55. And then even the game after that was 49 points. So they did have a string of games where they was doing at least 50 points. But then looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the 11 of their last 12, 13 games, they reeled off at least 40 points. So I guess that's what I was thinking.
Which is LSU's average margin of victory. They still, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about.
And that kind of inflates the number a little bit because you're talking about Kent State and Cincinnati.
Right.
And Maryland. You're supposed to you're supposed to score 40 and 50 points against them because they got nobody that can start on your team.
Nobody.
Yeah, but that game against Virginia Tech just kills them, man. It just kills them. Yeah. Cause like I remember, like you brought up a good point. I remember it being a loss, but I think Javard, you said that I didn't remember how lopsided it was. Yeah, Virginia Tech really. I think it was about 20 or so.
35.
They really handed it to them.
And that was at Ohio State.
So
right. After I guess they thought they were live coming off that win against Navy. So
and then some of the teams that they scored 50 points on, some of the teams they scored 50 points on had a better record than Virginia Tech.
Because this was around the years where Virginia Tech would have those good wins and then just be ass throughout the rest of the season.
Yep.
They
one of those years.
didn't garner the attention, man. It was like, like you said, bro, having players is one thing, but being able to put it together on the field and, not losing to Virginia Tech if you got all of this talent is something different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think, like you said, they didn't really garner that attention until the last couple of games. Everybody's like, oh, Ohio State making noise. Like, what were y'all doing at the beginning of the season? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it was nobody ever was like, okay, Ohio State, nobody. It came out of nowhere.
And if you remember, Ohio State wasn't even supposed to get in the playoffs. It was supposed to be Baylor or TCU.
Yeah, but
they didn't have a championship game.
They canceled each other out.
So that canceled them out. And then they played Wisconsin and beat the brakes off of them because they had to just try to get into the playoff.
Wisconsin did what they normally do, be Wisconsin. So, hey, we almost there. We think we want to win. We think we want to up. We're Wisconsin.
Nah, yeah, right.
Yeah, we're cheese.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so
Wisconsin, a proverbial but team.
Yeah, them in Michigan State. Hey, and didn't Ohio State this year? Then they lose to Michigan State. Somebody who lost to Michigan State recently? Because Michigan State been getting the train ran on them by every team in the Big Ten, and they came back and beat somebody. They beat Michigan. Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about everybody dip in on Michigan State. Everybody, even the lame down the street, get in the back of the line, get to dip his tip in on Michigan State, and here come Michigan. They get put in the book. God damn it.
Yeah.
All right, so LSU has a higher margin of victory. LSU's margin of victory is actually 38.7. Ohio State's is 22.8. All right, so move on to number of All-Americans. So we have a number of consensus All-Americans and then total All-Americans. So LSU has 4 consensus All-Americans and 5 total All-Americans. Ohio State has 1 consensus All-American and 2 total All-Americans from Ohio State. And we know who Ezekiel Elliott and somebody.
Eli?
I think it was
Bosa.
I think it was Bosa. I think it was Bosa and Elliott.
Okay, Bosa and Elliott, and then from LSU, everybody been.
I think Bosa was the unanimous choice, but yeah, them was the 2 guys.
Okay. Hey man, look, man, like not to keep harping on this, but this LSU team was goddamn special, man.
It's special, right?
Bruh, because listen to what we saying. This 2014 Ohio State team ain't nothing to sneeze at all with the talent they got. But we ain't looking at them and we ain't talking about them in a energy like, hey man, they can really challenge these boys. Because from the jump, just off the normal thought, we like, y'all boys with goddamn Bone Thugs and Harmony 2019.
Yep.
So,
bro, 2 things can be absolutely true. 2014 could be a good team. It could be a great team. But they still can get their ass whooped by 2019.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
And to your point about the team being special, they fell off a cliff this year.
Oh, yeah.
Losing all the talent that they lost. Ohio State was, I think, 11-1 the following year after they lost all their talent.
Right.
So this was a whole complete different type of special that this 2019 team was.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like just starting with, you had probably arguably the greatest quarterback season in the history of college football.
Yes.
I mean, you just start there. Yep. And then the rest of it is just still all falling into place. It's nuts.
And it's just crazy the development that Burrow had from year 1 at LSU to year 2, because he had a mediocre season prior. He threw 16 touchdowns, and then he comes back the next year. I know a lot of it has to do with coaching and scheme.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has to do with that. But to go from 16 touchdowns to 60 you have to have an immense amount of talent
Yeah.
that wasn't being utilized prior.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derek Stingley Jr., Grant Dale Pitt. Who was the other All-American for LSU?
So those were the consensus, and then I think who was the I'm looking at it now. Who was the last guy?
Was it the running back?
Yeah, I think it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Clyde. Hey, and he balling right now for them Chiefs.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Now, actually, it was, and that. Oh, see, that actually was the offensive lineman. Offensive lineman named Damian Lewis was an All-American for another publication. So he was the one guy that wasn't a consensus.
Okay.
And that's crazy. That's crazy to have that many, because usually with All-Americans, you have, you have a guy here, there that's like a couple of guys that everybody agrees is the best in the country. They had 4 that everybody said these guys are the best in the country at that position.
Right. Live. All right, so move on to total defensive ranking. So this is where Ohio State gets a victory. So LSU total defensive ranking, they were ranked 33rd. Ohio State's total defensive ranking, they were ranked 19th. So, yay, Ohio State, y'all get a victory in this head-to-head battle. If it really matters, it's going to help. But so, they gave up. Well, I ain't gonna say they gave up a whole lot of points, but
I would say LSU put up the points that warranted.
Yeah, well, I guess I would say for LSU, because a lot of teams was playing catch up football and they was getting a lot of trash time points and stuff. They're getting second and third team players too, so that had to be factored.
And then another thing I think is
you put up 30 in the second half, you're down by 50. It don't matter.
Yeah,
right.
And then last year and like these last few years, it's kind of been a shift in the way the SEC is playing. Because for a long time before that, the SEC was all about, you would see the game, the final score would be 20-17, 17-14, maybe occasionally 31-24 or something like that. But then the last few years, they starting to put up these offensive numbers.
Yeah. Everybody.
So I think that's a part of it versus like the Big Ten, the Big Ten. Versus the Big Ten, is still kind of like possession and field position ball and stuff like that. So
time management,
that's not surprising to me.
And then if you just look at the level of competition, the Big Ten was not that great that year, and so you had less quality offenses that they had to defend against.
Yeah, true.
And the quality of LSU's schedule was much higher. They played, the 4 top 10 teams in the regular season.
Right.
5 include the SEC championship game.
Right. Nah, that's true. All right, so this stat to me is it's fucking amazing, man. Even though Ohio State has the edge in this category, but the caveat is 2014 Ohio State has had a chance for their total draft class, their 4 draft classes to go through. So remembering that for 2019 LSU, we're only able to count players who are drafted from that team from last year. That's it, because hell, this year they're playing. But just looking at the number, Ohio State overall from that 2014 roster had 21 draft picks. LSU has 14. No, don't cue yet. LSU has 14 draft picks from that roster, and we only talking about just last year.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Bro, like they're on Ohio State ass just off of 1 year. It's like
Yeah,
as I was looking
that
up
is
that,
kind of
bro,
amazing.
I was like,
It
what?
took Ohio State 4 years to get 21 players.
Right.
That's what I'm
LSU
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like the talent on that squad, man. 14 players. Like they broke a record. They broke the draft record.
Yeah, but you know what though? Honestly, I hear what you're saying, but based on the way LSU's playing now, I mean, how many of those guys gonna get drafted? So it seems like it just all came together for that 1 year.
It did.
And like the bulk of those players that you're talking about, like, cause just off the top of my head, I'm thinking obviously Stingley is gonna get drafted.
Stingley and the
But like
one of the receivers.
the receiver,
Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
Did Mouse go in the draft?
Yeah, see, Mouse already gone.
Okay.
So
he had a big playoff, so he had to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that just goes to show like what we was talking about. It's just like everything just came together for them for that one season.
It did.
But I mean, who knows? I mean, because like you said, I mean, they might have other players get drafted, but I mean that is impressive for basically 1 year of players.
Right. But I hear what you're saying, though. I do hear what you're saying because, like I said earlier, LSU has definitely fallen off a cliff this year. The offense isn't the same. Of course, the coach took the job with the Saints, the Falcons, the somebody's. So he took the offensive coordinator job. So the offense doesn't look the same. Coach LSU really went back to looking like LSU before that offensive coordinator got there. So
yeah, Ohio State as a program is a much better program than LSU.
Right. But this year,
LSU is just always littered with talent, and 19 was just the 1 year that they got it all together.
Right. All right. So the last stat is total offensive ranking, and I think we already know who had the highest ranking offense. Even though Ohio State's offense was goddamn explosive, Ohio State offense is ranked 9th. And Grant got the stats. So total yards per game, 511.6, which is ranked 9th overall. Passing yards per game, 247.1, which is ranked 52nd. Rushing yards per game is 264.5, which is ranked 9th. LSU, total yards per game, 568.4, ranked number 1. Passing yards per game, 401.6, ranked 1. And rushing yards per game, 166.8, ranked 62nd. But LSU edges out Ohio State as far as total offensive rankings with that bomb-ass offense they had throwing to everybody. Bill, we could have went out there and scored 10 touchdowns apiece, Bill.
That was a light show, bro. That was a light show.
Yeah. With that particular stat, the one thing that stick out to me is watching the semifinal game. Like for the people that don't know, I work overnight, so I'm watching it, kind of dozing in and out. I see the score is 49-7. I'm thinking, man, they done crushed them. Then I hear the announcer say, "Well, we're going into halftime." What the hell?
Right.
I'm like, what the hell just happened? I couldn't believe it,
bro. I thought the game was over at halftime. I was like, I can't even watch no more of this.
Hey,
I went to go get some food and came back thinking, the first quarter just started. It was already 21-0.
I was in the front room laying on my couch, just watch LSU lay them boys down, pull their pants down, open up their ass, and just shit on them boys.
That's pretty much what happened.
Let it go.
It was crazy.
Man, look at here. So with that being said, looking at it, LSU has the highest margin of victory with 38.7. LSU has the highest number of All-Americans. Ohio State edges LSU out in total defensive ranking and number of players drafted, but LSU edges Ohio State out with total offensive ranking. So that would give 2019 LSU the victory over 2014 Ohio State. So 2019 LSU get to move on to the second round. Yay, hand clap.
Congratulations, fellas.
Hand
Congratulations.
claps. Yeah. Somebody's getting fucked after the game.
Okay.
All right, so next we got 1995 Nebraska against 2008 Oklahoma. I ain't gonna lie, I was waiting on this. This one of them matchups out of all on that I've been waiting on because
Yeah,
I know a lot of y'all young folk, y'all don't know nothing about them black shirts at Nebraska. Y'all don't know nothing about that 94, 95 stretch with Nebraska, and they were just running through folks. So y'all probably
you could have
think
had two teams from Nebraska on this
right,
list, honestly.
right.
Yeah,
Man,
sure.
They probably
just
think
you could just say 90s Nebraska.
right,
Yeah,
Mhm.
for real.
They challenged Florida State for the best team of the decade, for sure.
bruh. So now that 08 Oklahoma team ain't nothing to sneeze at. Had
No.
nothing to sneeze at. Even though they had 2 losses, this is a team that's capable of beating almost every team on this list. Almost every team on this list. So let's start it off from what you remember from 95 Nebraska and you remember from 08 Oklahoma. Them teams meet head to head. Who winning?
Woo!
I would. It's tough. I would say, and part of it is just because that's when you started really paying attention to college football. But 95 Nebraska was just crushing everybody. So I just go with them, man. They seemed invincible.
Man, look here. Who was I'm trying to remember. I'm trying not to. Oh yeah, Lawrence Phillips and Tommy Frazier. Oh, Scott Frost was on the team, but Tommy Frazier was the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Man, look. All right, for y'all young folk who don't know, man, look.
Innovator. Innovator.
Bruh. Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips. Look, fuck Tim Tebow and all them other quarterbacks and stuff that you think. Look, Tommy Frazier was one of those quarterbacks that he helped pave the way for somebody like a Tim Tebow, all these other running quarterbacks, because in the time where it wasn't advantageous for black quarterbacks, especially trying to go to the league. It wasn't good for them to have the label of a running quarterback. It wasn't. But Tommy Frazier took that offense, which was an option offense back when Nebraska was winning, and they dominated college football. That 94 when they ran through Florida, 95 when they ran through Florida. Man, that was embarrassing how they did Florida, man.
Yeah, it was this year. That was this
95.
year.
Hey, I think this 95, even though I love this 08 Oklahoma, I say the 95 Nebraska getting that ass.
The thing that people got to remember about Nebraska is that the forward pass was a
Hey,
trick.
Tommy Frazier, he just broke another tackle from Florida.
Yeah.
The forward pass was a trick in that offense.
Yes.
You're right.
Which translates to you know what is coming.
Yes.
And you still can't stop it.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's coming, and you still getting beat by 38 points a game.
Like straight up. Like there's nowhere around it. We either going up the middle, we're going left, or we're going right. You decide.
When you talk about option, like running the option, like that's like the Bible right there. Like that Tommy Frazier and what that was Osborne team, right? Like that was was like when you talk about innovation for me, bro. When I think about option, I always think about watching Tommy Frazier run the option. It was really like it's like an encyclopedia, bro. Like watching that man was like a magician, and watching that team going back. And you talk about if Lawrence Phillips could have stayed out of trouble, bro. Like one of the best athletes or running backs we ever seen grace the football field. Like that team was crazy, and like JG said, bro, you knew they was running the option. You knew it. You studied for it. You fell asleep. You woke up thinking about it.
None of that mattered.
Hey.
and you still couldn't do nothing about it. Nothing.
Bro, they teams against Nebraska look like our JV football team against that Childs when they ran out that
Oh
option
my
on us.
God.
Ran through our ass.
Bro, I never forget that. we spent that whole time practicing spread, and then they came out running the option, and we all just looked at each other like, what is we finna do?
Grant, they told us like 3 days before the game we got to play 2 teams. Oh yeah, we got another team to play, man. Like what? Man, look, man. I encourage all y'all, if you still in the dark, even though we adamant as a motherfucker about this, go look up on YouTube or whatever you watch videos on, OnlyFans, whatever, and look up 95 Nebraska, bro. I'm telling you,
95, man. Woo.
If you don't even look up the whole clip, just look up against Florida, bro. I mean, that'll tell you all you need to know.
And Florida
what the one play what he broke like 12 tackles.
Right.
Oh right. Man.
But you want to know now look at this. Remember now, we got the 96 Florida team on this list. So if the 96 Florida team is on this list, the 95 Florida team was in the championship game. They just lost to Nebraska. So Nebraska didn't play no scrubs.
Nope.
Right.
That team was elite.
Man. And you don't know how elite they are. We ain't even started talking about 08 Oklahoma yet.
Right.
With Sam Bradford.
Hey. Now Bradford was balling now. We listen.
Heisman Trophy that year.
Bradford was balling. Like every time I turned on ESPN, it was Bradford here. Like he came with a lot of hype that year, but he stood up. He stood up to it.
I tell you what, I would love to have Sam Bradford's NFL career. I get paid that much just to get hurt, bruh. I would love to have that.
He got in just before they changed the rookie signing things because he got that 50 mil at the gate.
He changed it. He was the reason they changed it, right?
Yeah.
Basically. Like, oh no, hell no, we ain't doing this no more, man.
And he kept getting hurt. Yeah, so they had Sam Bradford, they had
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, they was.
They had Ross, didn't they?
Iglesias was good.
Defense, they had Gerald McCoy.
Yep. They had Colby Smith. I don't know. So I don't know. His name just on there.
not our dog, Colby. Shout out.
Not the one that went to school with us. I just saw the name and looked familiar, so I said.
Not 32, huh? Not 32.
Right. Yeah, like you said, Gerald McCoy. So, we coming up to that, but they got a badge against all the players who was drafted. Moises Madu, at running back, him, Ryan Broyles.
Yeah, I remember Broyles. Broyles used to snap.
Yep. Manuel Johnson, Jermaine Gresham. I forgot they had Gresham.
Yep.
James Hanna played tight end. Trent Williams. Hey. Oh man, they had Trent Williams.
They was
they had him.
People sleep on them. People sleep on them because they didn't win the title. But man, they were really good.
They had Dominique Franks as well. Damn.
No, they had a squad, bro. I vividly, because I don't know what it was. I just remember watching. I feel like every time I was watching, Sam Bradford was tossing it to Broyles some kind of way. I'm like, golly, they going off.
Yeah. Now you can't lie. Sam Bradford did that team did ball out. They did what they needed.
Ball.
Right.
For sure.
Right. All right. So
I'm gonna read you their scores for the last 6 games of the year. Just the points that Oklahoma offense put up. 58, 62, 66, 65, 61, 62.
Right. And that's
people.
I don't care who that's against. That's a lot of points.
But no. hold up. You got to get a full story, Grant. You got to get a. So the first game they put up 57. The second game they put up 52. Third game they put up 55. Now they came back with a weak ass 35. The fourth game, but then they came back with 49 points. Then came back.
Wait, hold on. The moment you can say 35 is weak, that's how you know they putting up.
Right.
Yeah.
Against a really good TCU.
Yeah.
Right. Their low points on the season or their lowest scoring games, 35, 35, 24. So your lowest scoring total on the year was 24 points.
That's crazy.
The boys is live, man. So let's start it off. Margin of victory, because so overall we had 3 teams whose margin of victory was just crazy. So 2019 LSU, 95 Nebraska, and 13 Florida State. Their margin of victory was just crazy. So 95 Nebraska's margin of victory was 38 points. 08 Oklahoma's margin of victory was 26.6. But the 2 losses do hurt the margin of victory. So their margin of victory came out to be middle of the pack at 26.6. All right. So number of All-Americans, Nebraska had 1 consensual All-American and 4 total All-Americans. Oklahoma had 1 consensual All-American and 5 total All-Americans.
So they got the edge there.
Yeah, so Oklahoma do have that edge there. And that, to me, though, this is the sneaky team. This is the team that you really have to watch out for. Yeah, they got 2 losses, but everything else got their numbers put them like right there to contend with any other team.
The thing about those losses, one is when they lost to Texas, if I'm not mistaken, Sam Bradford missed the majority of the game. And then two, I mean, the 08 Florida team, that team was really freaking good.
Yeah,
so
it was. We're never going to lose again. We lost a game. We're never going to lose again. I can't believe it. I let you guys down. I eat cereal, everything. I don't want college football players to get paid. All those things. I talk like this, and I never take a breath. And when I do like this, and I don't know.
Hey, Tebow wasn't playing with y'all, man. He told you. Tebow said he wasn't playing.
We'll never lose again until I get to the Broncos. Bro, no, I do respect the fact that he went to his team and was like, "Hey, we not losing again."
Yeah,
and they didn't. So, all right. So
lost to that Ole Miss team, but that's another show.
They shouldn't have. So total defensive ranking. Nebraska's total defensive ranking was 13, and Oklahoma total defensive ranking was 59. We know the Big 12 do not play defense.
Right.
That's
why they had to score 1 million points.
They scored a lot of points and they gave up a lot of points too.
Right. And then they also going up against a team who they were proud. They took pride in playing great defense. That's why they tried to have as many black shirts as possible. So for the young folk and folk who just don't know, Nebraska's black shirts were basically their standout players. So like LSU give their best player number 7, Nebraska said, you know what? We got a bunch of good players. If you consider the black shirt, that means you are one of the elite players on this team. And to be a sophomore or a junior, because black shirts was usually reserved for seniors. So if you're a sophomore or a junior with a black shirt, which rarely happened, but it happened, you was exceptional. So they took pride in defense. So I'm not surprised at the total defensive rankings for either of these, because the Big 12 outside of TCU just refused to play defense, and Nebraska took pride in it. So
they was just choking people out. Just choking people out.
Yeah, we're gonna score as many points as possible, and if you don't like it, we're gonna still score and hope to win.
Yep.
All right, so number of players drafted. Nebraska had 27 players drafted from that 95 team, and Oklahoma had 26 from that 08 team, which was pretty damn close. And I was when I was looking up those stats, so there were for each team, there were 2 or 3 players who were drafted in particular years, but wasn't necessarily on that 95 team.
Okay.
And so I was thinking either they might have been transfers who came in. So when I was because I tried to go 4 years out. So going that fourth year out, you had about 2 or 3 players who you got Jimmy Johnson, who was drafted to the Colts, and it's like, well, he ain't on this 95 team. He might have been a transferee or something, but they're both. I mean, neck and neck. They neck and neck because they had talent. Right, both these teams had goddamn talent. So, and then total offensive ranking, Nebraska had their total offensive ranking was number 2. Oklahoma.
So where we at on the?
Huh? Go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying where we at on the rest of the ranking. That's why I was trying to get to.
Oh, just so total offensive ranking. So Nebraska is ranked number 2. Their total yards per game 556.3, which is a number 2 ranking. Rushing yards per game 156.5, which is ranked 89th. I mean, passing yards 156.
I was finna say, I was like, wait a minute.
I was surprised they got that. They were ranked 89th. Yeah, who was ranked lower than them? Shoot.
Right.
Rushing yards 339.8, they're ranked first. So Oklahoma, total yards per game 547.9, which is the number 3 overall ranking. Passing yards per game 349.4, number 3 ranking. Rushing yards per game 198.5, which is ranked 21st. But it averaged out to Nebraska having the number 2 offensive ranking. So if we going back and looking at everything, margin of victory, 95 Nebraska has the highest margin of victory, 38 to 26.6. Number of All-Americans, Oklahoma has 5 to Nebraska's 4. Total defensive ranking, Nebraska's defense was ranked 13th, Oklahoma's 59th. Number of players drafted, Nebraska edges out Oklahoma 27 to 26. And then total offensive ranking, Nebraska edges out Oklahoma number 2 to number 3. So 1995, Nebraska gets to move on to the second round.
And Tommy Frazier just broke another tackle, bitch.
Just broke
another.
Who that Ben Hanks from Florida still falling off. Still falling off.
The sad thing is, there was still nobody in the frame when he scored.
Right.
It was all on the ground.
Right. Yeah, like he ran through 75 people and then just broke out. Like, that was amazing. Hey man, 2 games in my life of college football that had me sick. One before that 93 Florida State, Florida. Because I remember Sam, you and Caleb, y'all was over here at the crib. We were watching that. So
yeah, I remember that.
Your boy Florida then went up. So we go outside to play football. We like the game over. Man, we come back inside, the game tied. We like, man, what the hell? We to play like outside, mad. And then that 95 team, like to watch Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips run through Florida the way they did, it was sickening, man. It was sick.
Boys are special, bro.
It wasn't sickening for me, but yeah, I mean, it just what it was, man.
All right, so our victors so far, round 1, 2019 LSU and the 1995 Nebraska. So next week's show, we will have 2005 Texas versus 2012 Alabama, and my homeboys, the 2001 Miami versus 2008 Florida, which is going to be a hell of a matchup. So that's going to be what we talk about next week. So we come back with the highest margin of victory, the highest number of All-Americans, highest total defensive ranking, highest number of players drafted, and highest total offensive rankings. So that's what we come back with next week, and it's going to be going down. So also, for those watching it and those listening in, hey, send us your comments. If you're watching on YouTube, put your comments in the comment section. Which team you think is better and why. If you think we got something wrong, you want to challenge our thoughts and stuff, we'll challenge it. We'll come back and talk shit about you when we get back on it next week, wherever it is. You can email me if you got any any information you want to add or questions, or you just want to talk shit about these teams, joe@freedomtrainradio.com. Make sure you get it to me. Make sure y'all put stuff in these comments because we want people engaging on this video, engaging on the post, telling us what y'all think. I know it's somebody out there think we don't know what the hell we talking about, and you can bring it on because we'll bust your head wide open with all this information because we've been arguing against each other forever, so we ready.
Forever.
True, in your face. So before we close the show out, we got that weekly rant thing real quick. We had this past week a video surfaced of a Georgia high school football coach, like not high school, like city league, pee-wee, like 7-year-old.
Yeah, they like pee-wee.
So the coach decided he was mad about something, and he slapped the dog shit out the little boy, like the dog shit out the little boy. And so I'm looking for the video now so I can pull it up, and I'm gonna play it for y'all. Because it's ridiculous what happened, but it happened. But I'm also surprised that none of the parents had an issue with this, or if they did have an issue, why ain't nobody run out on the field and whoop somebody's ass? Like, dude should have had his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? So let me try to get this thing to play after this damn
Addian.
Yeah, big. We ain't buying this shit. Go daddy to these nuts. So here it is. He bam, smack the hell out the little boy. Smack the hell out the little boy. And he ain't even got his mask on. Got the little tight ass shorts on. He ain't got no mask on. And he run up on the little boy like he owed him money or something.
Mm-hmm.
I told him he stepped into that.
That don't made no sense. The thing that's crazy to me, man, is like what you said. One, nobody did nothing at that moment, and then two, it's the team itself. The parents on the team were actually trying to defend him. It was the league that had to step in and say, "No, bro, you got to go." I'm like, why are y'all trying to defend him?
Parents were trying to defend him.
Yeah, the parents on the actual team were trying to say, they were trying to say we support, we gonna have his back, whatnot. It made, he made a mistake and things like that, but we're gonna move forward. But the league stepped in and said, no, he has to go. And I'm like, what?
Is that team good? Like they have a win record, and that's why the parents wanted him to stay because their sons are winning or on a winning team.
I want to say that some of that was going on because, like I said, I was looking at a lot of the comments and apparently this was like a playoff or something like that. But man, the parents of the team, they wanted him to stay. And I want to say even the kid's mom wasn't like, I don't want to say she was trying to excuse it, but she was more of the mindset of like, we're gonna move on from it. But like the league had to come in and say, nah, he gotta go.
It's this city league football. It's not, man, look. I don't know, dog. I think I would have wanted, if my child or not, if I would have been out there, the first thing I'd have been thinking, we got to put hands on Buddy. Because no, we face, our coaches did to us things that they probably shouldn't have done. And we've seen the coach whoop a dude ass on the field. We saw that when coach drug Buddy off that hill. We seen that, but we did. So at the time we jits. But and I don't want to say it's different because it's not different. But I guess our excuse for that was at that time we were kids too, so we don't really exactly know fully.
We don't know any better.
But as a grown man, me sitting there watching that, whether that's my child or not, this game is not going to continue. This game is over right now. And Buddy, we got to see you. You got to catch these hands, not these hands, but these hands.
That's a grown man, bro. Like, and it wasn't just like, no, come on, slapping it. But he stepped into it and slapped that kid. Like, think about the strength the strength that you have as a grown man versus a child. But he could have broke that boy neck, man.
Right.
Like,
Even with all his equipment, he could have really hurt that kid, man.
yeah, that's a kid, bro, and he stepped into it like he was slapping another grown man, bro.
Right.
Like, I'm with you, bro. Ain't no more football after that. If it's my child, ain't no more football. Call the police.
Yeah.
Because something happening. Like, ain't no more football, man.
Yeah.
Man, imagine if this was basketball. That kid would have been bleeding in his mouth.
Man.
He got hit
Right.
like that.
Right. Because like the first one was hard enough, but then he came back again and stepped into it even more and hit him hard enough to knock the kid to the ground. What?
Bro, that's nuts, bro.
And then the parents, Sam, you saying the parents are trying to rationalize it for him. The parents are trying to take up for him. What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was like, cause like, yeah, it was. If you get a chance, go, cause like the team, it's the name of it was the Savannah Gators. So if you go on like Facebook, they got like a team page, and like, yeah, he had like a little apology, which was like a non-apology apology.
It was a BS apology, yeah.
Yeah, and then like, if you look at the comments, a lot of the comments of parents, saying, yeah, we support the coach and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, what in the world are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? I mean, like, even if they are in the playoffs, or even if he is a good coach or whatever, I mean, like, it's not worth this.
Right. Because if this is what he's capable of doing when the lights are on and everybody's at the game, what is he doing in practice?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. If they hadn't caught that on camera, is he still the coach?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. If there's no public backlash, especially going off of what Sam just saying, if the parents are going to stand up for him, if there's no public backlash, if there's no video, but he's still the coach.
Yeah,
100%.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Like, that's ridiculous. He need his ass whooped.
And the parents are ridiculous. Ain't nobody got a college scholarship or went to the NFL based on their Pee-wee career.
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody.
And
that's what they're thinking about. They think about the fact that he probably. I mean,
my bill ticket. He gonna be a first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna deliver evil.
That boy still peeing. The boys still pee on themselves. What are we talking about? They ain't grown. They let them be kids.
Some boys don't even like football. They playing because they like playing.
That's the shit I'm always talking about on this show, on this podcast. That's one of the things I'm always hitting on is, especially as black folk, first of all, we got to stop looking for our kids to save the damn family. You got all these goddamn adults. Why don't y'all get y'all old asses up and save the damn family? Second of all, you can't expect no damn 12-year-old child. You're gonna base your family on this 12-year-old getting through middle school, getting through high school, getting through college, and then going to the league. But you know how many years you got all y'all old ass people could have changed your family around?
Right.
Like, but it's not this serious. It's not. First of all, we're in the middle of a pandemic. First of all, why do we have youth league football in the middle of a damn pandemic? How are y'all checking people's temperature? I mean, we're not even checking temperature because that don't mean nothing. How y'all making sure they not playing against other folk with that Rona?
Yeah, no, that's real.
Because you're putting now you're putting people's lives at risk.
I was shocked they even started back with the youth sports. First of all, professional sports, but then when they opened back with youth sports, I was like, I mean.
Ain't nobody gonna bring y'all for youth sports.
Right.
Bruh. All right, Sam, you here in Tallahassee. First of all, I'm disappointed in our black communities. Sam, you in Tallahassee too.
Yeah.
When you ride through black communities, it looked like January. They've never put on masks. They've never social distanced. They've never followed any other protocol, any other rules. Never. But these the same people.
Didn't they just have like an event at the Moon or something like that?
Bro, they've been having events everywhere. The Lux Lounge, like people going playing laser tag. Like these folk out here in Tallahassee, black folk out here in Tallahassee, out here getting it in like they in Atlanta, or it ain't no Rona going around. And then, but these are the same people who are going to these games, these youth football games, coaching these teams and stuff. Like y'all crazy. But then it's like it's bad enough you playing in the middle of the pandemic, but then you got fuckboy number 79 who just inducted himself into the International Fuckboys Hall of Fame for slapping the hell out of that little boy.
He lost his job. And they say
Good.
banned for life from the league. I'm like, well, do you know what you did? Do you know what you just did?
Right.
At the drop of a hat, you lost everything. You just lost. You lost your job. You lost your way of living, bro. Behind
all
Pee Wee football game, bro.
All because
a 9-year-old dropped the pass.
Right.
He fumbled the ball. He missed a tackle.
Guess what? That's what kids do.
Right.
Exactly what kids do.
Adults do it.
Kids, that's what pro football players do.
Right.
They fumble the ball. They cost people games and playoffs and championships.
And they making millions. I don't remember seeing none of them coaches slap them in the head like that.
Right.
The difference is big. The difference is, you know, if you right, I was gonna say, you go up there, you snap Tyreek Hill if you want to, man.
Hey, but like Grant said earlier, bruh, dude got to be our age or older. We 36, so dude got to be our age or older. You coaching youth football, you shouldn't be getting that upset because this is the peak of your coaching career.
Yeah,
it's not gonna get no better for you from here. You may be a coordinator somewhere, maybe, but as head coaching, this is your peak.
At a high school.
He ain't because it wasn't like coaching was even like his profession. That he had another full-time job.
Right.
So he should know that coaching ain't gonna be it, because otherwise that would be your full-time job.
Bruh.
My point is this: what kind of response do you expect a child to give you after you slap him in the head?
Right. Now I don't like your ass no more.
First of all, I'm scared. You didn't slap me. Boy probably got a slight concussion. So what do you expect him to go back out there and do better now? Like what did you expect to gain from that?
A bunch of bullshit.
The embarrassment, bro. I mean, to be did like that, and then in front of all of the other kids on the team,
and then it go viral.
Now everybody in the world is seeing it. Saw the response that LeBron and a lot of the other guys said. You know, they're like, "Nah, my kid. Even if it wasn't, like we would have had." Yeah, and because Shannon from Savannah.
Yeah. It was hot. It was like, man, now they had that dude that. But to me, that's the thing that really make me upset is why is everybody who wasn't there more upset than people who were there?
True.
True. At what point do we really take serious that we supposed to be protecting our children? Like at what point? Because nobody decided to protect that young man. All the parents failed. All of them. All them parents need their asses whooped. All of them. So, but man,
but it's like you said, man. They bought into that culture. They bought into that. They done bought into that culture of like you said, these kids is our ticket to a better life.
Yeah, instead of taking your ass to night school. God damn it.
Right. No, it's like it's unreal, bro. It's unreal. You sit there. People watching it, bro. Every time I see it, bro, my skin crawl. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, that's a kid, man.
It is.
You slapped a kid like a grown man, bro. Like, and then had the bravado to come back and do it again.
Yeah, because that lets you know that it wasn't a mistake. That it was intentional.
Right.
You had time to think about what you did, and you decided, I'm still mad. Oh, right. I'm finna hit you again because you shouldn't have made a mistake.
It's crazy.
You made.
Right. Right.
Unreal, bro.
Fuck, boy. Hey, Doc. Sam and Grant think they lie because they got edges and hair on their head and shit. We don't see y'all, dog.
Hey, no hair, don't care.
There you go. Hey, how about this? I was commenting on the post on Instagram yesterday because a lot of people misinformation about the Tuskegee experiment. I ain't say nothing malicious to nobody. We just talk about the information and research it. So some little bitch ass dude got mad at my comment. I don't know why, because I went back and looked at it. I was like, all I was just saying is I disagree in your point, and because you didn't provide the information. So dude was like, yo, 25-year-old with a bald head, and I'm like, I'm like, bro.
You gave me a compliment, man.
I appreciate the compliment. I'm about to be 37 in a month, and you think I look 25? My shit glowing, huh? Working, huh?
Hey, you forgot what y'all were arguing about.
You, my good sir.
I appreciate you, bro. You're right. Let me take my comment down.
Exactly. Let me make sure I'm balder the next time you see me.
Hey, he probably 6 years old on that bitch.
He ain't got no picture on
trolling like a bitch.
Yeah. That shit was funny as hell, man. Hey, well, I appreciate everybody tuning in for another episode of Fix Sports Podcast. But most of all, appreciate my homeboys, man. I love y'all boys. Thank y'all for coming through. Mr. Javard Grant, aka Braxton P. Hartner Brigg. Mr. Doc Love, aka Doc Love, and Mr. SLD Sammy Lamont Dixie. I'm trying to give you a whole new nickname, Sammy Lee Dixie, one time. Hey man, I love y'all, boy. I appreciate y'all coming through and hopping with me. So next week we got 05 Texas versus 12 Alabama, 01 Miami versus 08 Florida, and be in because this is the place to be. And if you ain't here, you ain't talking about nothing. www.freedomtrainradio.com. 2 fingers in the air like a player. We the hell up.